Thanks,
All
Derek.
right. Okay. So, hello, everyone. Welcome to Entrepreneurs International Network. My name is Keisha Carter. I am the organizer of EIN, and I'm super excited for having a great speaker for today, Mitchell Levy. He will discuss how to unleash success with clarity. But before Mitchell comes to our virtual stage to give his talk, we want to talk about what EIN is and how you can get the most out of everything that EIN offers. So, for those who are first timers here, EIN, or Entrepreneurs International Network, is an organization that helps entrepreneurs find free or inexpensive education that can help them to network and grow their entire business. So, in every single event, we'll have education and networking session during our Q&As and As and gratitude circle, where you can find your potential joint venture partners and clients. We also have an app called Entrepreneurs International Network, and to download them on your mobile phones, just head on to Google Play or App Store and find Entrepreneurs International Network to get access to a lot of pieces of education. And if you go to our official website, that is eintalks.com, you will be able to see the recording of all the past events that we've had, and you'll be able to take a peek on our upcoming events and register there. So I highly recommend that you download our app and visit our website so you can get access to all the information that I just shared. I put it down on the chat box below. So today's event will run for 90 minutes and we'll have our speaker give us talk for 45 minutes and after that we'll have a 15 minutes question and answer portion by the audience. And lastly, we'll give another 15 minutes for our audience to share their takeaways and their gratitude to our speaker. And after that, we'll be wrapping up and close the event by 10:30 a.m. Pacific. And with that, let's go to our amazing speaker today, Mitchell Levy. He is a global credibility expert and he is a two times TEDx speaker, including the 28th most popular in 2021. He is also an international best-selling author of over 60 books, a certified stakeholder center coach, and an executive coach at Marshall Goldsmith's 100 Coaches. And so I'm more than thrilled to have Mitchell Levy on our stage to share with us his talk and how we can unleash success with clarity in our business. Mitchell, the stage is all yours.
Oh, well, thank you. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate being here and you. And for those who can, would love to have your videos turned on just so I could see you. If you have questions, feel free to ask and feel free to interrupt when if you need to, or if there's a burning question, happy to actually answer it live. What I find is, and I appreciate the intro, and what I find works really well is I always find having sort of a more formal intro. So I've got like this 90-second intro video. So I'm just going to play that before we start. And then I'll give you expectations of the talk and where we're going, and we'll take it from there.
I'd like you to think about the world today and ask yourself,
Are you happy with it? I know I'm not. It is my purpose. It is my life mission to tip the scale between those in the world that are credible and those that are dubious. This is something that we have to do together, and I invite you to join me. Cool beans. So I like that as a way, and part of sometimes when you're talking with people and you're interacting, they they don't really know who you are. They don't have a good feeling for who you are and what you do, and sometimes setting the stage is really appropriate and very important. And so what I want to be able to do is share with you a hidden secret that I unraveled in the 500 interviews. And and the secret is one that is so amazingly powerful and so difficult to read. So I hear no sounds. Did no sound come through on the video? There was not any talking, but there was music in the background.
Yeah, it came through on my end, so
Oh,
I
okay.
believe it was okay.
Yeah. So Marty, thanks for. I heard music. Yeah, I we didn't have any talking. We had music. Thanks, Derek. Cool. Hey, listen, I would since we have more people here, I'd love to. I'm from Silicon Valley. I'm in Cupertino. So I could actually say I'm in. So it'd be great to hear where you're from. I'm actually in Apple country, and I use Macs and an Android. But for you guys, where are you from, and are you a Mac or a PC user or an Android user? I'd love to read a little bit more about you, and then I'll jump right in. So throw that in the chat. Oh, thank you. Auckland, Mac ecosystem. Berkeley. Oh, local-ish. LA. Well, I guess if you're from New Zealand, Northern California and Southern California, the same. Okay, across the country, Florida, Vancouver, PC, Android land. Thanks, Derek. Me too. Obviously, Denver, Mac. Well, I think it's so interesting. Probably more Macs here. Mainly, yeah, Windows. Yeah, me too. All right. All right. Thanks. I appreciate that. So, I mentioned a couple things, and I'll go back and forth. Like I said, I'm happy to break anytime and be able to answer questions. So feel free to ask when you can. And what was fascinating about this was 4 years ago. I went on my Napoleon Hill journey and interviewed 500 thought leaders. And what was absolutely clear was one thing. Actually, there are a lot of things that came out of it, a lot of lessons that I learned. But that number 98% is huge. And what I want you to think about, because we hear this word why, and we always think, hey, Simon Sinek, and we need the why, and why is first. And the thing that's fascinating is what comes before the why is clarity on you. It's clarity on you as a servant leader, as somebody who is service to others. And in essence, who is it that you serve, and what is that audience? What do they want? What is their pain point? What is their pleasure point? And so, oh, by the way, on most of my slides, and if there isn't one, let me know if there's a slide that doesn't have a hat somewhere buried. I want to ask a what if, and I'm gonna turn off the screen for a second. What if we were taught wrong? What if we were taught a difficult way to do things? What if we were taught that we have to figure out, well, why are we on this planet? Um, Versus what if there is something simple? By the way, never easy. I mean, for those in the U.S. about the easy button. I have an easy button, but it's not about easy. It's about simple. And what if there's a way in which you can simply articulate who you are? And you could do it in such a way that people understand it almost immediately. And when they hear you, They know whether or not you're somebody that should be recommended, or you're somebody who could be of service to them. Or maybe, when somebody says who they are, and I'm going to say what playground they play in, what if they're able to articulate their playground in 5 seconds and immediately, hey, this is not for me. Doesn't mean I don't like you, but I'm not interested in that. Or most of the time, as a good networker, what I'm doing when I'm hearing somebody, I'm thinking who to introduce them to, right? So who can I refer to that? And imagine, a lot of times when you say to somebody, "Who are you?" and then they go off for 5 or 10 minutes, and they try to they kind of this verbal diarrhea thing. They just keep talking and talking and talking, and they eventually hope that there's one thing you're gonna that you say that, oh, hey, that's what I need. I love you. Let's do that together. That's not the way the world works. All right. So actually put in the chat. I'd love to hear from you is if you can articulate in just a yes or no, if you could articulate in less than 10 words the clarity of who you are so people really understood you and could recommend you or decide they want, would you be interested in that? Yes or no? Derek, thanks for turning on your camera, and Linda too. So are you interested in that clarity? Because I'll give you the formula if you are. Yes, good, thank you. Anyone else? Definitely. Thanks for actively participating. All right. So let me share that. So I think on my what if is we've been taught ways to do things. And in many cases, what we've been taught has been difficult and it's a struggle. And what I want to do is present something, and I'm gonna really focus on the simple, not easy. And what I want to do is I want to say to you is what if what we really want is something we could share with others? And I believe in today's world, what our brains really want with all the craziness going on is we want simplicity and we want clarity. And so I'd like you to imagine crystallizing your message and conveying your vision in a way that future customers, and you notice the double quotes, that they actually want to hear more. They're very interested in hearing more. And imagine being able to do that in 10 words or less. And what's interesting here is not just doing it for yourself, but potentially doing this for others, and to allow others to be able to articulate and love to say the playground that they play in. And this is the formula. So I'm not going to hold back. This is the simplicity of the formula. It is a way in which you can clearly articulate what's exciting to you, what gets you excited, what wakes you up. In essence, for many people, it's the frequency of the words that represent them. And it's I call it a CPOP, your customer point of possibilities. And what's interesting to me is the formula is so amazingly simple. It's who. Now, typically, who should be 1, 2, or 3 words. You ever hear people when they say who are you, and they go, oh, well, I work with speakers, authors, consultants, people who have left toes that are 5 feet long, right? They keep talking, right? And you can't be 10 words or less if you can't figure out a primary audience. So who is it that you serve? And then from their perspective, what is the pain point that they think they have? Or what is the pleasure point that they want to reach? So I'll share one of my friends in Silicon Valley, a guy by the name of Raji Sethi. Raj has worked with uh, thousands of companies, helping them be successful. And his CPOP is really powerful. So let me share it. So remember, it's who you serve. So his is game changers. So his CPOP, game changers looking for their secret sauce. It's really interesting. If you think about that playground, think about in your network. Hey, is this me? Hey, do I want to meet Raju Sethi, or do I know somebody that I might want to introduce him to? Or maybe this is not the right thing for me today. Right? That's really fascinating. Let me share mine. Coaches who've created a job, not a business. What I want to highlight with a CPOP is it's not a marketing tagline. Oftentimes people say to me, but Mitchell, I need to be more clear of what I do and who I am. And the answer is no, you don't. When you're articulating your CPOP, when you're looking for that clarity, what you're looking for is you're looking for the opportunity to present a playground that you play in so that when people then ask you, and then here's the interesting part, there are three potential people who are going to ask you. They're either directly a referral partner, they could be someone who is a prospect, or they could not care. It doesn't mean they don't care about you. It just means they don't care about your CPOP, your playground. If they are the first two, if they are a potential referral partner or a potential prospect, actually, I guess potential prospect is not necessary. Potential customer or prospect, they're going to say, "Tell me more." When you get to tell them more, you're now telling them more from an area of authenticity, you're of an area of credibility, of an area where because you've so uniquely identified the playground you play. When you start talking about how you play in that playground, it's very simple. Right. And so what I want to point out is that the CPOP is something that comes before the why. This is something we've been taught wrong. We've been taught, hey, I got to be successful. Why am I doing this? Why am I in the world? And then we'd say, okay, what's my value proposition? What's my 30-second elevator pitch? And then you memorize these words that nobody remembers when you talk about them. Or what is my unique selling proposition? And it's not about it's selling, it's about enrolling, right? So what happens is your CPOP comes before all of that. Your CPOP is the if you are, and this is what I've unraveled with the people I interviewed. If you are a credible human, you are of service to others. You're a servant leader. If you are a servant leader, I'll just go back to this slide. Who do you serve, and what are they thinking about in terms of the pain they're in or the pleasure point? And depending on what you do, most of the time, about 80% of the time, the pain point works potentially better. Sometimes it's both the pain point and pleasure point is in that less than 10 words. And sometimes it's purely a pleasure point. And it just depends on the audience and what you're serving. So before I go on, I just want to say, what do you guys think? What it's as simple as that. What questions might that have brought up for somebody? And while we're here, by the way, I'm going to say, is anyone want to volunteer themselves to be someone that we work with live, and I'll help you create your CPOP live. So feel free to put yourself in chat. I would love to see. I'd love to be able to see if anyone is particularly interested. And also looking at cameras. If you can turn your cameras on, I'd love to see you. Really? Nobody wants to know their CPOP? I don't think I've ever been in front of an audience that's been so shy. So if you want, put in the chat, what do you think it is? Who today do you feel that you serve? And what from the CPOP format, it's the who and the what. So why don't you throw that in the chat? And like I said, if somebody wants to go through the exercise, I'm happy to work with you live.
Sure, I'll go through the exercise.
Marty, thank you.
Hey,
But
yeah, sorry. Just before this call, I got some information on a phone call that kind of frazzled me a little bit, so my mind is not quite focused, but I'm focusing in now.
I got it. Well, we need to be present. So what I'll do is I'll spend a couple minutes, and while I'm spending these minutes, what I'd encourage you to do is take a couple deep breaths, start getting present in the moment of who you are, and getting rid of the yuck that you got previously, and settle in on who you are. In the meantime, if you're on this call, you're here for a reason, and it's because you wanted to hear this, and you want to hear what clarity is and how it works. And what I'll say is, once you have clarity, everything changes. The really cool part about clarity is that when you can articulate your CPOP, you then will look at how you've shown up in the world till date. And you're going to go, huh, maybe I should have had my conversations differently when you're showing up in person or when you're showing up on Zoom. Or maybe you would say, my LinkedIn profile needs to update to really fine tune that, or my website needs to be updated. I have to say, most of the time when people got their CPOP and they really go, yep, this is me, you're then going to look at it. It means there's work, because it means you're not showing up the way you really should be. So I still would like to, in the chat, for those who actually feel that they know who they are. So if you're in business, by the way, you have to know who you are. So I've not seen anyone do this yet. So please put in the chat who you serve, and either what pain point or what pleasure point. And so, Marty, I'll start with you. Thank you, by the way. Because we probably want to just highlight the two of us. So why do you bring Marty to the stage as well? And what I'll say is, so who are you? Just quick, if you could either do the who, what, or just tell a quick summary of who you are, how you show up.
Okay, so I just typed that in the chat, but so I help recently divorced men with their transition to their new single life.
Ooh, I love that. It is so shocking to me how many people are not so clear in terms of being able to do that. And that actually that's really close. So it's newly divorced men, any age group?
Not necessarily, but I mean, it's usually guys that are like in their 40s and 50s.
But it doesn't really matter, does it? Or
It
maybe
it
those
it
that,
it, mat it matters in the sense that I am most qualified to help people that are like myself, right? So I'm 53. I've been through a divorce and a few breakups, and so I connect the best with guys that are sort of 40s and 50s. But yeah, people at any age can go through a divorce.
and and what is it you help them with? What is it that what's aspirational? Where do they actually go to?
So a lot changes when people divorce. Finances change, living situations change. Um, guys usually don't really turn to any support. They just kind of like, hey, we're men, we tough it out. Whereas women are more likely to, talk to their girlfriends, seek out help, support, that kind of thing. And so I just, also a lot of guys will turn to alcohol, things like that are not good for them. And so I kind of help them reflect on what has transpired over the previous years, what kind of went wrong, and set some new goals, chart a new path forward, and kind of get them moving on that new path forward.
Is there a amount of time that needs to happen from the time of the divorce to the time that they start moving forward?
Mm, no.
So this could happen almost immediately in terms of their support.
Well, I mean, I work with guys who are usually recently divorced. Sometimes it's been a few years, but usually it's recently divorced. So I'm not sure exactly what your question is. I mean, obviously it takes time to work through that, and it takes time for me to help them move on to their new lives.
I mean, so what does recent mean? Is that like couple days, couple weeks, couple months? What still constitutes recent?
Usually it's happened within the last 6 months.
Got it. Nice. Okay. And what is I hear pleasure point, right? That you're giving. What's the pain point? What are they experiencing?
The pain point could be a lot of things. It could be loneliness. It'd be, when married people tend to have married friends, and so when you get divorced, then you tend to lose some friends, and or friends choose sides, and they might choose your side, they might not, or they don't want to be involved, they don't want to, so they kind of back away. So it's the whole social thing. Social lives change dramatically. Finances can change dramatically. You can go from potentially a two-income household to a single-income household, and um, and just depending on how long you've been married to, like the longer you've been married, the more you settled into that previous life, and so the more difficult it can be to transition. Men ask me all the time about dating. They maybe haven't dated in many years, and so they're kind of clueless when it comes to that. So there's a lot of things that come up.
Yeah, yours is it's really interesting. It's not always so easy when I talk to people, and then looking at your LinkedIn profile, your tagline. So I'm going to put your tagline. This is the tagline on his LinkedIn profile. I'll put that in chat for people. It's
I have a very unique name, so I'm easy to find on LinkedIn and such.
Yes, you are. So it's passionately guiding men through post-divorce transformation, right? Which is really powerful. And I like it because just so you know, so that's a tagline, right? Your C-pop could be as simple as, and I'm going to put this in. So first, we'll put C-pop, and it's I'll just say customer point of possibilities. It's not always people are not always as aligned as you are, Marty. Um,
Mhm.
what social media platform do you mostly play on?
So far, it's kind of LinkedIn and Facebook and just that so far.
Okay, so I'll take a look at you on Facebook as well. On LinkedIn, I could also give you some recommendations, but it's part of what you might your CPOP could be 40-50-year-old divorced men getting support. Does something like that resonate with you? I like the getting support, so that's a positive. The reason I'm leaning in the positive versus the negative is what I was thinking about in coming up with those words is I was thinking about your referral partners. I was thinking about somebody who's a friend with a recently divorced 40 to 50-year-old man who is just kind of doing what men normally do is struggling and they know they need support but they don't know who to go to. So 40 to 50-year-old divorced men getting support seemed like that was targeted at your referral partner.
Okay.
How does that resonate?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that would summarize who I work with.
the what happened, so I'm looking to the side if you're not looking at me. I'm looking at I probably should just share your LinkedIn because this was so easy. I'll do something I don't normally do. Um, is let me share your link. Would it be okay if I shared your LinkedIn and your Facebook?
Okay, sure.
Permission granted. You're okay with that? Okay.
Yes. Mhm.
All right. So the what I want to do now is this is what we do we've got when we do events and we work with people. What we want to do is we want to say, okay, if this is you, and I believe this is your CPOP, and once again, you show it on your tagline on LinkedIn. But I love the 40 to 50-year-old divorced men getting support. Right, you get to think about that. Normally, what I say is when you wake up in the morning, see if that fits. Now, when I look at your LinkedIn profile, um, I you say it here, And I think a lot of times people take their CPOP and they turn it into a tagline. And this is absolutely a great tagline. There's nothing wrong with that. What I would do is recommend putting a image behind you. And in that image, I would include your CPOP. So it just reinforces who you are. The next thing I do
Oh, all
when I
right. So,
look,
all right. So CPOP rather than the tagline.
well, you already have your tag. A lot of times I recommend that they put the CPOP here,
Okay.
but I couldn't. These words are so powerful. I don't always recommend this for people, but these words are so powerful. Like you might also be able to put your CPOP in here, and then in double quotes, like if you put your CPOP first, and then you put in double quotes this tagline,
Mm-hmm.
that really says it all, right? Because it's, I like the picture. It's a good, comfortable picture of you. What's missing though is this is the standard background. So put
Mm-hmm.
in something like on Facebook, you have that. You can even take this picture, right, if you want, because this is almost a passionate guiding thing, right? And just put your CPOP here,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
right? And then what happens? There's a couple of things I'm looking for, right? So one of the things you haven't done is any posting. So you may want to do a little bit of activity. So write an article or two. We now have at our fingertips 1,000 writers. So go to ChatGPT and co-write a couple articles that you can post. And
Mm-hmm.
then
Yeah,
what I'm looking for,
I've never posted on LinkedIn.
I can see it. It says that right here.
Oh, okay.
It says that right there, right? So you probably want to do a little bit of that so that I don't think people look at LinkedIn for this, but if somebody stumbled upon your background, I love these, right? These skill sets. Um, Empathetic communication's perfect. I don't know about these two. What you want to think about, do these three skills reinforce your CPOP? And the answer is this one does. I don't know about these two,
Mm-hmm.
right? So then you
Mm-hmm.
could go into the skills, you click on all skills and you could choose which skills show up,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
right? So you want to probably, and these are more work skills. So what you may want to do is you may want to, how you can get people to know about you and refer you is you update your picture up top, you put in three skills and you want to get the skill sets to 99 plus. Right. And so then you ask your friends, hey, if you know of me and know I'm good at this, can you click on endorsing me for these things? Right. And then what I'm also looking for is I'm looking for recommendations. So what I'm going to say is you typically want to get to 15 each. So 15 receive, 15 given, because I'm going to see that. So, go to some people you served, ask if they could write your recommendation here. And then you want to give some too for different
Mm-hmm.
reasons.
Okay.
On Facebook, I need more here, right? This doesn't say anything about you. Like I like that you're doing other things, but I also when what happens when I hear about you, and I'm just going to say when I hear and think about you, um, if you're if I have a friend who's in that age range, 40, 50-year-old, recently divorced, and I want to recommend them to you, I'm going to check you out on social first.
Mm-hmm.
And so all you're doing with that, Marty, is you're just reinforcing that I don't lose my credibility by referring you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. So kind of simple. None of this is. I mean, technically, it's easy, but it takes time and effort. So if you wake up in the morning, you go, my God, this really is my CPOP. Feel free to modify it, but your CPOP is so 40, 50-year-old divorced men getting support. Like that is like women do this naturally, men don't. So your first video could be, hey, let me tell you something that women do naturally that men don't. Get support, right? And then speak for a minute. That's your video,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's when you live inside the construct of this playground, it makes it a lot easier. Was that
Mm-hmm.
helpful?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Excuse
All
me.
right.
Yeah, yeah, I can definitely see a lot of things I can add and change to the LinkedIn profile.
Oh, awesome. And those in chat, was there, or for those that are here, does this make, is this obvious to you? Do you see it? Do you, um, is it, do you see what this might mean for you? Do you, does this make sense for Marty? Just put that in the chat if you think it is. Marty, I'm going to go to the rest of the presentation. But thank you for volunteering yourself. I really appreciate you. How do you guys in this room, how do we give people a clap or round of applause? Keziah, what's the best way to go about doing that? Do we just go like this? Because so many people don't have their videos on. Let's do the yeehaw. Turn on your video or just say yeehaw in chat. And Marty, thanks so much. I appreciate you doing this. All right. So what's interesting is when you have this concept of a CPOP, it really makes it a lot easier when people say, hey, update your LinkedIn profile, you don't know what to do. It's like, well, now that you can see what we did with Marty, do this for yourself. Come up with your CPOP. And then for those who are coaches or consultants working with clients, what's really interesting is if you come up with a CPOP for the company, so your company, or if you think about a company and their employees, come up with a CPOP for the company, come up with a CPOP for your employees. So you could do it that way. If you change this from your company to your employees, you're now talking about things like customer intimacy, operational excellence. If you're doing this as your customers, you're now talking about product leadership, right? So it's really interesting when you think about allowing the simplicity of this concept to apply, because what you're doing here, that customer synergy, is when you're taking the CPOP of your customers, your CPOP, and you're trying to expand this area of the Venn diagram. All right, let's look at you personally. The benefit of having a CPOP, it's your compass. What happens going forward, it helps you make decisions. If somebody comes along and says, hey, I can help you get more clients, great. You have to make within the construct of who you are and how you show up, what are the decisions that are going to help you do that? And what's interesting is when you're demonstrating behavior in the world that's in alignment with your compass and you're making decisions that are in alignment with your compass, with your CPOP, you're being seen as someone with integrity, both internal and external integrity. You're being seen as somebody who's credible. And as I mentioned to Marty, if I wanted to recommend somebody to Marty, I want to see him as credible and I want to see his online presence as credible before I'm going to recommend him. So for you personally, if you're out there and you have content and you have a service and you are serving others, do you show up in a way, both online and offline, where you're credible? So clarity in action is very simple. You got to take who you are now. You can put it into a playground. Clarity is the simplicity of being able to articulate who you are in less than 10 words. Because the manifestation of that is updating how you show up asynchronously, your website and social media. It's updating how you show up as a person. So it becomes a whole lot easier to attract more clients. It becomes a whole lot easier for you to put money in your pocket if you've got a playground that's easy to share. So I just thought I'd share a couple of LinkedIn profiles. So Marty, this if you notice when I use the word bad LinkedIn profile, it's somebody who just used the LinkedIn default.
Oh, you can use me now for that.
Well, I ended up blacking out the person's name. But you notice here, this is not really a CPOP, but I like the words, and given who she is, she's got 1.7 million followers, but I love her tagline, her CPOP. There's enough consistency. If you want to see a good profile, look at Whitney Johnson. You don't have to look at this. Look at your own for most people. And one of the things I notice here at the bottom, she went in and put in a personalized name, Whitney Johnson. here, the person just let it come from default, right? So you want to put in a name that is you're easy to find. Just like you said, your name is unique, it's easy to find. Yours is probably good that way. But this one, if somebody says, go to my LinkedIn profile, it's linkedin.com/IN/ his name slash, and then type in B631, right? That's silly, right? That's absolutely silly. So you want to make sure that once you know your CPOP, that it's reflected in here. It's reflected in your tagline. It's reflected in the skill sets. It's reflected in the recommendations that you have. That's the social proof that allows you to show up more credibly when you're not in the room. On the recommendation side, as I mentioned, this looks like mine. So these are some recommendations for me. If you want to see how I show up in the world, you can read my recommendations, what people feel like I've given value to them. If you click on the given, you could read how the words I use, because when I'm giving a recommendation to others, I'm going to put it in the words that are valuable to me. So if you want to speak my language, NLP, you look at the recommendations that I've given and you'll be able to see that. And so, like I said, 15 each is probably, for those who have less, is probably on LinkedIn a good place to go. And what's interesting is endorsements come and recommendations come from so many different ways. Sometimes you could just meet somebody, interact with them, exchange with them, do a little bit of work with them, and all of a sudden they've seen enough of you to see how valuable you'd be, and you could ask for a recommendation or ask for an endorsement, or even at the very minimal, if you pick the right skill sets, ask for them to click on the skill sets. So you can get to that 99 plus. And part of what we do is we help people show up with clarity, not by first getting their CPOP, and then by second, being able to show up both when you're talking with people and when you're exchanging information, when you're not talking with them, when you're asynchronous, right? So what I thought I'd do is I want to share a story. I want to share Aaron Wheeler's story. I think this is a couple minutes. And what's powerful about your CPOP is it really is the playground you play in. When you speak, it's how you speak. For me, when I'm thinking about that coaches who've created a job, not a business, it means that if you think about this, there's some elements that happen when you work with at a company. When you work at a company, there are three things that are powerful. You have a water cooler, so an opportunity to meet people. You have a track. You are told what is success and what's not, and you're given tools to be able to use to accomplish your goals. And you have accountability and mentorship. And then when you go and you start doing your own business, whether you're a coach or a consultant, you start doing your own business, you have to make those things happen yourself. So for me, when I talk about my tell me more, I'm talking about, well, how do I help that coach or how do I help that consultant build a business around who they are versus struggling to get the next client, the next job, the next opportunity. So for me, it's when you start looking at my social, and by the way, this is newer for me. So I'm still in the middle of transitioning all my social, right? So depending on when you watch this, it may already be done. Some of the slides are done, but I need to actually have an event where I actually transition so more people get to see this. And this is what we're doing as a business. With Aaron's story is so powerful. So let me share his story. And for a second, let me just stop my screen because I want to make sure that when I share with sound. And we've got Aaron, and it's 2.5 minutes, and it's very, yep, I am sharing with sound. It's very much with heart. Aaron used his CPOP sort of like in the Matrix, when you plug in and you download he used his CPOP that way. So let me share his testimonial.
When Mitchell worked with me, it was on the CPOP. And during that moment, and I heard my CPOP and it really landed, it truly resonated and gave me real clarity. My CPOP is executives wanting to better serve their teams. And that really resonates with everything that I'm about and everything that I want to do. There was a time a few months ago where the CPOP came in and worked for me in a different way than I ever expected it to. I, long story short, I have had brain trauma from playing college football. I used to black out. There was a lot of things going on. That had gone away for a while. And a few months ago, I had been in a massive brain fog where it was hard for me to put together my words and sentences and really communicate effectively. Everything that I did, I had to write it down. I couldn't really have a real conversation back and forth. And during that time where my mind was failing me, the thing that I'd worked so long to build, which is my business, my brand, how I represent myself and show up for other people, my CPOP was the thing that was really my saving grace. It reminded me of me because it was written in how I wanted to serve. But it wasn't just my CPOP, it was also my tell me more. It was all of the pieces and components that made my story and why I want to serve and who I best help. So the CPOP came into play in that regard. And an amazing thing to say is that I used that to speak for me when I couldn't. And I was having a conversation with the largest client that I've ever pitched. And not only did I pitch them effectively, but I also wrote the proposal and closed the deal. so the CPOP has so much more to it because it is who you want to represent yourself as and who you serve. And it can help you remind yourself of who you're supposed to be. Thanks.
What a nice smile. You know, the interesting part is when I created this concept, I did not actually have this in mind. I did not have I was not I mean, what I had in mind was your CPOP is you. Your CPOP. Oh, thanks, Tim. Your CPOP is that thing which really is the words which resonate you. It's who you are and how you show up. And I had not actually envisioned somebody like Aaron coming along and actually having brain fog. And if your business is using your brain and having communication, and he's a coach, he's an executive coach, and not being able to remember what people say to you because you're having fog and having to write stuff down, he actually used this and needed it, and as a result closed the largest client he ever closed. And it was as simple as having a CPOP and the tell me more. So Marty, one of the things I'm going to say to you is with that CPOP in hand, you don't need to memorize to tell me more, right? This is one of the things we've been taught, which is wrong. We've been taught to memorize a 30-second elevator pitch, right? And people write their words down and they try to make sure it's perfect, and then they try to memorize it. And then when they talk, here's the biggest problem: when they talk, they're talking from their head. They're not talking from their heart. They're talking from trying to remember what it is they're supposed to say with all these really sophisticated words and sentence structure versus talking from their heart. And if you know your CPOP, when somebody says, tell me more, you're going to give them a customized tell me more that's based because you're talking from within the constructs of your playground. I'm going to say to you that this is extremely simple. I'm also going to say to you that 98% of 500 thought leaders I interviewed, I've now done the CPOP exercise over 1,000 times, 98% do not show up consistently with clarity in their on and offline worlds. So if you're listening to this, this most likely applies to you unless you're in that 2%. Marty, you were very far along in terms of how you are able to articulate yourself. And just a little bit of update on your asynchronous presence will change everything. Like, it just makes it easy. Like if I stumble upon you and I run across somebody who's interesting, I know exactly who to send them to and why. But for me, as a credibility guy, I need to make sure that the asynchronous presence reinforces who they are as a human. Right. And so I'm going to keep this extremely simple. I'll share a little bit more about what we're doing and then we'll take questions. But I want to make sure that you don't look at this and go, oh, Mitchell, that was easy. I knew that. I'm going to say you don't. I'm just going to call you out right now. You don't know this because 98%, and I'm talking to thought leaders, cannot articulate in 10 words or less who they serve and either what pain point or pleasure point they have. And when I was doing these interviews, when I give people homework ahead of time, hey, watch this video. This is what you're going to prepare for. This is what you're going to do. And because we've been taught to be marketers, we're typically giving a marketing tagline. Right. So, Marty, if you said to me what you wrote on your LinkedIn profile, I'm going to say, I like it, but that's a tagline. It's really cool, by the way. Passionately guiding men through post-divorce transformation. Very cool. That is a great tagline. That definitely goes in your tell me more. Right? Because I like the passionately, right? It shows that you're coming in with heart, you're coming in with, hey, this is not going to be easy. And by the way, if I'm going to do a tell me more for you, by the way, most men don't show their feelings. And you need to have feelings before you can get over this, period. Right? So if you're not ready, you're not a good prospect for me. Right? And you could go on and talk a little bit more about that, depending. We haven't had enough conversation for me to fill in the rest of what you do, but that's what comes off the top of my head. Right? So for anyone, if you throw your CPOP in there, to tell me more should become easy. Let me tell you what we do, and then I will we're mostly wrapped up, and I'll be happy for questions. There's something we've been doing recently. When I did the research, took me a year, and this was 4 years ago. So for the last 3 years, I've been deploying credibility, including the TEDx Keziah that you mentioned earlier, and with credibility, I created the Ultimate Credibility Bootcamp. It was 16 hours over 2.5 days. And the sort of a good news, bad news thing, the good news, powerful, amazing testimonials and feedback. Bad news, we would kind of excavate somebody's brain because there's all these changes you need to make, and the people would not get all of it done in time. Right. And so some of it would get done, not much. So what I ended up doing is I ended up taking the 16 hours and turning that into 6 4-hour credibility booster shots. And so the benefit of a booster shot in 4 hours, and by the way, when we did our first one, got the same level of testimonials. It was really powerful. So I want to share where the next ones are. And so the credibility booster shot is very simple. First, we're going to make sure everyone has a CPOP. And then we're gonna actually focus on your LinkedIn profile and actually live. We're going to make changes. We're going to make updates and changes to encourage that to happen. And then we're going to get endorsements. So from those in the rooms and for customers. So we'll show you how to get endorsements. And there's a great opportunity. So we actually have one tomorrow. What I'll do is, for those, if this is so powerful enough for you, we charge $500 for this. And I'll walk through it in a second. It's so powerful. I'll give you a coupon code for half off for tomorrow, just for tomorrow's. But we also, if it's too close of a time frame, on the 26th and the 30th, we do our next boosters. And it really does change everything in terms of how you show up. And so for $500, We help you articulate your CPOP and get validation from those in the room that this fits and feels good, right? And you could read the other programs. I've seen people charge $1,500 for that. We're going to go in and update your LinkedIn profile for credibility. Very similar to Marty, what you and I just did together in a quick stuff. We spend a little bit more time on people so to do an update. I've seen $1,500 for LinkedIn makeovers. In room, we'll get endorsements live. So if you come in with a buddy, you'll probably get one from them. Otherwise, there'll be somebody in the room you get to meet and intimately get to know. Because I also want to facilitate the types of stuff that you get to know people really well, and you'll actually get endorsements. I've seen people charge $1,000 for yucky generic endorsements. These will be much more powerful. And then networking. The opportunity to have people who, when you know somebody's playground, it is so easy to see who to recommend and who you might want to play with and co-create a product. And so the ultimate value of what we're doing, and notice I didn't even put a value on what the endorsements are. So the ultimate value is over $2,300. We charge $500, and for tomorrow, if you can make it, this is the coupon code that you could use to actually get 50% off. And so I'll put this in chat, the URL. Actually, I'll put all this in chat, and so that you can actually go and do this yourself. I am excited about this always. It is one of those things, and I got one more gift I want to share. I'm excited about this because it's one of those things that really changes everything, and it also is really very simple. And I love simple. Simple doesn't, as I mentioned before, simple is not easy. So I'm typing in chat, the next credibility boosters. And then let's see. Let's put in these other two things. This is where you could learn more and see stuff. And then for tomorrow, you can do this, which is the coupon code for those that are interested. And it is, I will guarantee that you will be a different human afterwards. And then let's do the last, let me do the special gift. I just copied that. We'll share that for you. And we'll put that in paste. So there's a gift I want to share, and then we'll jump to questions. And in doing the Ultimate Credibility Bootcamp, we came up with 5 areas to focus on showing up more credibly. And so we created a 1-page infographic that really asks 3 questions and gives 3 for each area, 3 questions and 3 areas to focus on. And so I'll put this in chat as well. But all you have to do is go here and you can pick up the PDF. And that's my gift for you, so you can actually start working on the path of showing up more credibly in what you do, both online and offline. And I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. So that's now in chat. Thanks for the opportunity to share. And I'm absolutely open for questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mitchell, for that informative talk. Now let's head on to our question and answer portion. So we encourage the audience to ask questions by raising their hands on the screen or using the raised hand feature here on Zoom.
Well, I see Mika actually turned on her video, which implies that there's a question. I could be wrong.
I believe Mika just came in the call. Yeah, just came into the call. Hi, Mika. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. I don't really have, well, if I had a question, it would be, what are like your top 3 tips for somebody who is launching a business. And thank you for being here.
So let me ask clarifying questions. Have they done any business before? Is this their first business? Give me, do they have any experience in the work world? Share a little bit more, and then I could be much more specific in the response.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for the clarifying question. So yes, I've had multiple businesses before, and I'm branching into a new area. I've had masterminds and retreats here locally, and I'm branching to a global space. And I don't have any experience with that. I've traveled a lot, however, not bringing a bunch of people with me. And so that's a new business that I am launching to expand. And I wondered what some advice or tips you may have in that space.
Well, first, I'm going to say, first, let me ask you, what brought you to that desire? What was the...
Because the world is a big place. And when we are surrounded by people in our own city, even our own country, we have a lot of times narrow-minded views of things. And my experience of traveling globally, it just opens up so many pockets. And a lot of people that I meet don't want to travel by themselves, or they don't have a purpose for traveling other than going to a resort. And so I want to expand the global views for people to see what, just to experience life in a different country in a safe environment.
Oh, I love that. So is this, by the way, I'm looking at your LinkedIn profile. It's different than what you say on your LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So this is new for you.
This is a new, that's what I
got it.
Right. With the new business. Yeah.
I love it. Well, I just needed to see, let me just do a little bit more preview review, and I'll give you a very, very specific set of responses. I'm not a big fan of, you've done a lot of fun things in your life. Ladies Empower Society. Talk about that for a second, because you've been doing that for 9 years and 6 months.
Yeah, well, actually, that's been on hiatus since COVID. So something a lot of people have asked me to bring back, and I don't want to bring it back in the same format that it was, because this, the whole experience in the last 3.5 years has diversified my thinking and my views, and therefore I want to bring a different, a different thinking.
I love it. Okay, thank you. So the first thing I do is I would encourage you to come up with your CPOP. And were you here for the whole presentation, or did you sign in afterwards?
No, okay. I came in and then I left and I came back. I had something else that I forgot.
These things happen. You may want to re-listen to this as articulation. I'm doing the tomorrow, and then we're doing the credibility booster, which we can also then come up with your CPOP. So that's certainly one area. So number one is come up with that in 10 words or less, who you serve and either what pain point they have. And by the way, you've mentioned even in just a little bit of the tell me more, you've mentioned a lot of either pain points or pleasure points, right? So come up with that first. Second, reinforce that asynchronously, so that when people look at you, so that means your LinkedIn like the places where you're going to be attracting people. With Marty, he was using LinkedIn and Facebook. So just a couple places, just reinforce that. Now, third, which is really interesting, is when you're starting new business. What's always interesting is, and by the way, when you're starting a new business from the point of view of somebody who has had a lot of experience in the past, and your new business. Now, what's interesting to me is I'm going to say that your new business will be not much different than your old one. However, because you're geographically going to be dispersed, there's all these incremental lessons you could learn, right? So that's powerful. I love that. That said, you need endorsements and you need testimonials.
Mm.
Well, how do you get them? The best way for you to get them is to run a alpha or beta group, right? So how do you do that? I would suggest that you end up reaching out to a couple of your friends that you know will be interested in this, and tell them that you only want to charge cost and you want to bring a couple other people, and that you're doing this on your dime, but you got to at least pay the bill, right? So you're not going to make money doing this, but this is your beta group. This is your group where you're going to go out of your way to make people just sort of jump up and down for joy and say, oh my God, this is so cool, I have to recommend this to my friends. And you plan your first one. In this case, I can't say you can't make it for free, because that means you're spending a ton of money, but you can make it where you're not making profit, right? And when people hear that, like if I was in your shoes, I'd come up with your CPOP, and there's so many that come to the top of my head, but I'm not going to go there at the moment. What I'm going to say is, okay, listen, this is what I'm doing. COVID killed my business. I've been doing this for, I guess you would say 6 years, whatever time frame you were actually doing this for 6 years. Couldn't do this in the COVID world. Post-COVID, I want something new. And I need something new, and I need actually good, solid, be transparent. I need good, solid testimonials. And so I'm looking for a group of 6 to 10. I don't know if it's men or women or both, right? So I'm looking for 6 to 10 people to actually come along with me, and we're going to run the experiment, and we're going to do it well. And I'm looking for testimonials. So the only cost besides the actual out-of-pocket cost is I need a video testimonial when we're done, and I need feedback on what I could do better. Is that something you'd be willing to do? And I think going in and doing that live, and what's going to happen is you're going to do what you plan, and then hopefully, actually always, some pleasant surprises will come out of it, things you did not expect to have happen. And then those are things that you're going to incorporate into your marketing messages. And it's possible that you'll update your CPOP, or if you have a good CPOP, maybe not. So it's possible you'd update your CPOP. It's also possible that where you're going to really update is your Tell Me More, because you're going to now have, so how it works typically is you mention your CPOP. I haven't done mine yet, so I'll share mine. So for you, CPOP, update how you show up socially, and then get actual live clients so you have testimonials. I mean, kind of those are my 3 things. I just wanted to do it specifically for you. What I'll say is, if you're inclined and want to jump forward, you could focus. I'm going to repost what I put in chat. We have an event going on tomorrow. And that can help you significantly. And as a result, because it's tomorrow, it would be half off. So instead of 500, it'd be 250. So I just put that in chat for you to have. The really interesting part, people who do what you do well, it's when you articulate that CPOP, it then becomes easy for other people to recommend you. And there's so many directions, and I don't know what you would do yet. Based on the quick glance of your LinkedIn profile, I have a guess, but you may have changed a lot post-COVID, right? So when you come up with your CPOP, then it becomes a lot easier for other people to give recommendations. But I think at the end of the day, and I'll say this again, if you're a credible human, you are a servant leader. So the question is, who do you serve? And either what pain point do they have, or what pleasure point do they need to experience? When you know that, then the next question that comes is, well, who's playing the playground, and specifically, what are they are dealing with? So for me, just so you could hear mine, coaches who've created a job, not a business. And so typically, now I noticed this time I only said the word coaches. I didn't say coaches and consultants, but consultants could say, oh yeah, this is me too. And it is. So typically coaches are really good. They're servant leaders. They want to add value. They know who they are, and they do a really good job of it. What they've never been taught is how to run a business. They don't have good lead gen coming in. They have only a referral network. And are you ready? They close 80% of those people that come in. That said, the 20% they don't close, they don't put into a funnel, and they don't nurture, right? And so they're not really running a business. It's sort of a feast and famine thing. And they wake up in the morning doing stuff that they don't want to do versus doing what they really want to do, is live inside their business. So that would be, by the way, I don't think I've ever said that tell me more that way before, because I don't need to memorize to tell me more. I only need to focus on the playground I play in, and everything else comes naturally, right? You want to be able to do that yourself. And all of a sudden people go, wow, this is an expert who lives in her playground and someone who can provide value. Hey, why don't we take this group and let her run a event for us? Is that
Mhm.
helpful?
Yeah, super helpful. Thank you so much, Mitchell.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure.
All right. Thank you so much, Mika, for that great question. So, if anybody else has any questions, maybe what is the best way for them to reach you, Mitchell?
Probably the I'll just put in the chat. The My name is Mitchell Levy. It's with when you put them together, it's three L's. So you could find me on LinkedIn, or jump to my website, and if you need time on the calendar, you can get it there. Um, you'll notice that. So Mika and Marty, if you want to give me a hard time, you're more than welcome, because my old CPOP is on my website, and my team is in the middle of updating the new one. So I'm going to say we all are a work in progress. What makes us credible is being, there are 10 values of credibility. So it's being vulnerable, it's having the intent and the commitment to do the right thing, it's sharing what you know in such a way where somebody on the other side can benefit from it. It's being trust. The definition of credibility is the quality in which you're trusted, known, and liked. And so being able to do the types of things where people trust you, they get to really know you. Like, no one's going to want to take a trip with you, Mika, unless they really know you. Well, how do you make them know you? Well, testimonials, other things. So that's why initially you go after people who already know you. They already have trust, know, and like or love in you. And that's the first trip you want to organize, because it makes it easier. So anyway, go to mitchelllevy.com, and you could find things that you need, and also book time on my calendar. And thanks. Hopefully, we'll see people at the Credibility Boosters. There's a lot of things that we're doing which are powerful, and would love to, if you are a coach or a consultant and you're stuck, you're tired of the old ways of doing business, and you want something new. That's what I've embarked on. That's what I'm working on, and excited about, and happy to talk to you more about that.
Awesome. And we are excited for that, Mitchell. And so now we are on our last part of our event, our takeaways and gratitude circle. So we encourage you to raise your hand if you want to share any takeaways or that you have on this event, or you want to give your appreciation to our speaker for today. I believe some have sent their appreciation through their chat, but if anybody else would like to share, please feel free to raise your hand or turn on your cameras to say anything.
Yep. I think Marty and the two people who have talked so far have said thank you and said their
Yeah.
appreciation. And I appreciate
Yes.
that.
Thank you as well, Mitchell, for being here and imparting your knowledge about helping us to be more credible in our business. We really do appreciate that. And I believe more people actually would love to hear about this on the recording because some people haven't, aren't able to reach on time. So they would definitely appreciate the recording of this event. From Jean McGrail, she said, "Thank you very much, Mitchell, for your time and your wisdom. I will look into joining one of your
Oh, thank
classes."
you, Gene. And Tim responded, but did it privately. And
Hmm.
he said, thank you for your insights and sharing. And my pleasure. It is, I think the cool part about what I'm doing these days is making everything very simple, which it should be. And I can't emphasize simple is not easy. You still have to do the work.
Right.
Okay. But it should be simpler than we've made life so far.
Hmm. That's true. The world is already complicated as it is. We want to make it everything simple. Yeah.
By the way, I like
So
Tim's. I'm very curious about Tim now that I see the
his
fingerprint
profile.
and the Sherlock Holmes style investigation. I'm just now very curious to see who Tim Summers is. So,
Conan Doyle vibes. Oh, there you
oh
go.
no, kidding, dude,
That's
so
so
cool.
cool.
Yeah, you
Mhm.
definitely have you definitely have a nice sort of technically picture of you picture of you when you're not there. That makes sense. Yeah, I
So
this applies to you too. Depends on where you are and what you're doing, but I'd be very curious. Feel free to reach out if you'd like to.
awesome, awesome. So thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your appreciation to our speaker. And as well, for me, I'd like to thank you again for being here and for sharing with us your knowledge on building credibility. So, again, thank you so much, everyone, for showing up at today's event. Our next event is going to be on October 3rd, 2023, and we're going to have Jerry Foster talking about branding big sales. Branding big for sales mastery. So to sign up for that, you can get to this link that I will put in the chat box. So also, if you want to take a look at the recording of today's event, you want to review it, we will post it tomorrow at the same time so that you can catch up on anything that you've missed. And once more, thank you so much, everyone, and we'll see you on the next event. Take care. Bye bye.
Thanks. See ya.
Thank